Chapter 0. Dinosaurs, flowers, and the remarkable invention of zero ambition. The intention of this creation is to surrender, to let go into the mystery, to stop attempting to control the journey and let something else drive. No agenda. This is, of course, a paradox, because by moving my pen across a page, I am willing a small universe into existence. My hope is that by sprinkling sparks onto paper, a divine wind will transform them into otherworldly flames that will burn with a mind of their own. May the ancestors, past, present, and future, bless this quest and guide us to where we are meant to be. May our hearts and minds be still enough to receive their guidance.
Just getting through the day, just getting through the day where, there's things that we have to do. We can't, as horrible it would be, to lose a child. I can't even imagine to all the pain of the world that we know that we have to go on, I think, in a way. It's pretty confusing shit, I guess, at the end of the day. It's pretty, maybe that's why we're talking, I guess, but is to, maybe stumble upon something that helps you, and I stumble upon something that helps me, and maybe someone else that bumps into this, it helps them. I think sifting through things is helpful. There's a lot of mud maybe in my game, not intentionally, but if you keep sifting, you might find a nugget,
Like laying on a beach in the sun, drearily sleepy but never more alive, our destiny is probably to feel numb to wants. Cut 2. A list of things I avoid. My defenses are no longer working. Help. 1. Rocks, exorcism, upsets, and blood-curdling rage, grief, growing pain explosions. 2. My body. 3. Grief. 4. My mind. 5. Long-term physical intimacy. 6. Sobriety. 7. Life without tobacco. 8. Silence. 9. Pain. 10. Death. Help, help, help me, please. The dragonfly man grins at me. Good work, brother. God work. Mysterious is the way.
Often I've thought, okay, who's working me? And, when you really do that navel gazing and you're like, okay, well, what is me? What is me? What is me? Okay, is this, and it gets, gets kind of crazy. So I've always done that since I was a little kid. And I feel like maybe that sounds like a self-centered thing, but I don't think so. I think it's more, what is this spirit? Who's running this thing here? I always had the sense that I was supposed to be something, that I couldn't just be regular. I don't know if you've heard the expression about the balloon syndrome, where you're either all the way big and like a balloon, or you are deflated into nothing. There's no in between.
Tangled in wires, strangled by webs, my smartphone whispers, turn me on and I will turn you on. It promises to rescue me from my boredom and from myself, to grant my wildest dreams. Steve Jobs' genie, little robot mirror, and I, Narcissus, hypnotized by my reflections, lean too close and fall in to its whirlpool of illusion. The riptides take me, lust, fear, greed, A spell has been cast. A pact has been made. I forgot to ask, what must I give in return? But it's too late. The contract has been signed.
So he writes about how for eons and eons we were in this reptilian state of consciousness, right? Fight or flight, like just primal, extremely primal. And this still lives in us, right? The back here, like brainstem. And then we evolved into mammalian consciousness, which is what love, family, bonding, mammal and mammary glands and mama all have the same root. So mammals are deeply bonded to children and to each other. And that we're like entering a stage of floral consciousness. Oh, I just love it so much. It's just evolving, right? Always been a seeker. Anyone who loves Tom Robbins from high school age has been seeking their whole lives. Definitely taken bad advice from false gurus. There's not one thing that I have returned to over and over in my life other than my family, water, swimming in wild water. I mean, that's what comes to me right now. Those two things seem like the most consistent sources of like love or wisdom.
God in the form of a rooster, cock-a-doodle-doing, outside of my window. Caffeine in my nightcap. Red ants on my futon. A screaming toddler in my heart, chakra. A depth psychologist for a wife. Let's be honest, I'm fucked. Sleep is out of the question. Spiritual insomnia is my reality now. And until I embrace the ever-brightening dawn, I will be tossing and turning in an uncomfortable tangle of waking and dreams, destiny and delusion, half asleep in frog pajamas with a bozo nose and no excuses. I want to get frog pajamas, my son echoes my last sentence as I read it aloud in the kitchen. I want to go to the frog store, Dada. Me too, Rock. Me too.
And so I like participating in my own evolution, which art has allowed for. And then has also required me to have compassion, patience, acceptance, and non-judgment of this entity of my, artist self that like wants to do different than what my plan was. That's an edge for me, even when we were talking yesterday about like, could this be a full sexual inquiry podcast? I was like, ooh, edgy, I want to, but I'm not genuinely there because most of my energy is in my head. It is running through, these like rhyme patterns or ways of proving my intellect or my academic pursuits or my spiritual pursuits through words, which just as we touched on a few times here, are so adorable and for naught.
We all have repressed memories, fantasies, and urges that can cause our righteous, conscious minds to cringe. And this intersection between innocent instincts and taboos seems like it may very well be guarding some dragon gold and soul diamonds. Our ancestral lust wires are so tangled in kinks, so knotted in shame, we will most likely have to cut through the ropes to free ourselves. Everything is neutral and innocent in the eyes of the all-seeing. It is the mind that has strung barbed wire fences around Eden. And the funny part is, we created these fences because we were scared of our shadows, and attempting to protect ourselves from our shadows, we created a separation, which forces the shadow to throw taboo tantrums just to get some attention and love. Remember, this whole world is just you and you, or I and I, same difference.
I just kind of laugh on the inside when I see so much of humanity making a big deal about sex. I mean, sex is a big deal in one aspect because it is our sacred life force. It is our sacred creative life force energy. And it is what pulses through all of life and creates the universe. And so I actually think, this is what I believe, that a lot of the religions that are originally based on love, but complicated and made into these complex religions with all these rules, I believe that a lot of it just shames sex.
Sometimes in a huff of over-identification with our egos, we might say, "Do you know who I am?" My dad likes to pull the prayer rug out from underneath that statement, saying, "Do you know who I think I am?" Gallows humor. Why gallows? Because to find true peace and power, we must allow our rigid ego identities to die. The good news is they never were alive to begin with, simply Halloween masks we placed on our mysterious essences in an attempt to play a game. All fine and dandy until we forget it's a game. And even then, all good, but after an infinity of forgetfulness, I am craving a splash of cold water in the face, or mask, some rooster caffeine. God help me, I've fallen asleep again. So, like Queen Inanna, let's descend from our identity towers and see what lies beneath. First, let's remove our names in general, all words, and simply float, moment to moment, noticing sensations but not allowing our minds to define anything. Of course it will, but every time it does, say no thank you, and return to this anonymous space. Shit, that was hard. Felt damn near impossible. What I realize is that my mind, strapped in the electrical chair of soul, spins a fantasy web in which it simulates reality, impersonating all the characters, including soul, tricking me, who, into thinking I, who, am getting to the bottom of things when in fact I, am still in an identity tower wrestling with shadows. Exhausting. Pure madness. This is like trying to free a captive with Stockholm Syndrome. Your soul is a forest. Your life is a tree. And currently you are experiencing the universe through the POV of a nut. It takes time, friend. Seasons. You feel the ache to become your full potential, and you are. But you can't rush the process. Your mind is not the enemy either, a common mistake. It is a predator teacher, training your soul to take root and rise, invincible to all circumstance.
I do find freedom can be a curse there. Like, I love the fact that in a lot of ways that I'm not allowed to travel, that I can't move to, wherever I want. It's like, I find great peace and satisfaction in just knowing, like, I'm raising this kid right here and I can plant a tree in my yard that I know is going to take 5 years to, produce good fruit. And I can feel good about that, knowing that most likely, I want to be here. I want my daughter to see, that apple tree in 5 years. Whereas before it's like, you're always off on the next thing. There's so many choices. So I totally feel you on that.
A popular modern definition of the word dream as a noun is a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. When used as a verb, it can mean to indulge in daydreams or fantasies about something greatly desired. When traced even further back, the word dream used to mean joy, noise, or music. Throughout time, cultures have had varying perspectives and rituals around the act of dreaming, ranging from those who believe dreams are messages from the divine to those who dismiss dreams as meaningless firings of the brain. Regardless which is true, perhaps both at the same time and more, we are all living inside of dreams, whether we realize it or not.
You know, I think you're raising this whole aspect of experience that we could call, you know, the liminal space or the mundus imaginalis or the psychoidal realm, something between psyche and matter, something that sits between them, that is both, or the place where they touch, perhaps. And obviously we're deep into the mystical realm, which Jung tried to bridge through his work with Wolfgang Pauli, the physicist. And together they developed the notion of synchronicity. So, you know, if you think about, you know, what synchronicity is defined as a kind of meaningful coincidence, but it carries with it this sense that at that point in time, there's some confluence between an inner reality and an outer one.
How does one hold all of the seemingly opposing tensions at once? Love, murder, grief, joy, innocence, horror, and the spectrum. We are not taught this in Western society. Perhaps if we were educated by shamans, we would have grokked this in kindergarten. Alas, we must learn the hard way now. Cooking in the illusion fires until the diamond sparrow bursts forth from our throat and sings.
But then it becomes tricky that those who feel they're the trickster are often being tricked. So the trick with the trickster is to keep it close to healing. That's, I think, the thing. So you mentioned Heyoka, which usually refers to the backward people. They do everything backward. And why did they do it backward? It's educational. So everybody's doing their ritual of going down to the water and being cleansed and everything. And the Heyokas go the opposite way. They come out of the water and roll in the mud. And so they're trying to show the mainstream or the regular folks that you're only seeing one part of it. And if you think about the mud as the earth of creation, and mud itself can be healing, they're also showing that if you get too clean, you've lost your connection to the earth, like you were talking about, and you're no longer down in the mud where the truth is. And so that's a Heyoka move. Reverse the fascination with purity.
This crazy joy is unexplained. This righteous anger's not in vain. For all the mirrors are simply tools to find yourself in every fool. The gavel falls with a resounding crack. Little does the judge know they are alone in a magic theater. The court finds the defendant guilty, the judge screams, face red and eyes bulging, and I hereby sentence you to death. The court jester smiles, the judge's wise and silly twin, patiently waiting for his psychic sibling to snap out of his daft delusion. I know more than you because I know nothing, says the fool to the pontificating priest. Jesus is a trickster, but you dressed his corpse in lies. When you take offense to something, you take offense and place it between you and something. Donald Trump's Mexico wall, Scrooge McDuck's lonely swim. If these walls could talk, oh, but they can. And currently they are giggling hysterically at our one-man show, our infinite costumes fooling no one but ourselves. As Chesterton reminded us, the angels fly because they take themselves so lightly.
If I had to describe, somebody asked me what God was, I would say it's more like it's the law of conservation of matter. The notion that energy can't be destroyed or created, just changed. It's like, I think I know it in music. When I hear songs that give me the chills, like I feel it in the small of my back, like radiating out from my spine towards the sides of my rib cage, and I feel adrenaline in the undersides of my wrists. I know it in the way that, people come together at a show and lay their burdens down in the same way that they do in a church.
Knowing's overrated, plus the whole thing is a sham. No one knows for certain, that's for certain, little man, except the one in hearse who has crossed over the bridge, and even they may be in gray, a lovely place to live, the in-between, the secret zone, that's neither here nor there, where magic isn't fiction, it's the oxygen we share. It takes some time, a lazy rhyme, to let your mind relax and eyes adjust to see what's here, but trust the heart adapts and loves beyond the limitations of the black and white, but only those who hover will discover this delight. What are you waiting for?
I think what I would say is that the first thing I accept about art is that art is, for all the essence of liberation and exploration and experimentation and discovery, all those isms and schisms, art is, at the end of the day, a discipline. There's something about consistently pursuing something, rigor mortis, the catharsis of sort of doing something over and over again, whether it's sculpting, ceramics, painting, writing, drawing. It definitely has that going for it. And I think that what I've learned to appreciate is the stillness of that discipline balanced with the effervescence of exploration and experimentation.
Reporting live from the dark side of the moon, where all those hidden things thrive on forbidden fruit vines. Ring, ring, hello? Yo, who's this? You, fool. Me? Over the crater she peeks, 3 eyes aglow with all that we fear in fluorescence. Sex, death, which will save us from our selective amnesia? Avoidance, extremes of glacial fractures, your psyche in puzzle-form pieces scattered, lost. She retrieves. She returns them. Will you assemble, or let them gather dust in the closet once again? One of these days, the veil's bound to fall. Widow, Osiris, a tombstone in bloom.
The only things I had ever been exposed to of someone with my very particular child awareness, very old awareness in a very young body in a very dangerous environment was, I think I'm going to grow up to be a murderer. Because everything around me is telling me that all of these thoughts, concepts, ideas, and deep knowings that I had as a child are not for me to have, and there is absolutely something psychotically wrong with me. And so later, much later, piecing all of the things together, following the breadcrumb trail, learning about quantum reality, non-local consciousness, all of these amazing things that help me navigate third dimension, I went, oh, I remember what I'm here to do. And it was really easy after that, because it completely separated me from like this blackness that I really identified with.
Chapter 11. Thank you, Death. Body is a shell. Soul is the sound of waves. Look, you will not find, like a book of empty pages. The story disappears, but sitting by the fireside, living in your ears, the legend spoken by the tribe. No hello and no goodbye. Ashamed of this strange happiness, when Reaper comes and beats the drum, releases me from labyrinth, tears of joy. Sitting here on the beach, Molly and rock nearby, wind and sun, crashing waves, feeling into death. A closing chapter, not the end. Not my place to claim I know. These days my mind has turned into poetry streams, babbling brooks, moving, alive. Stillness in the flowing, eternity in time. The gravity of song is turning every thought to rhyme. Enough now. Rumi wants to sing to you. I called through your door. The mystics are gathering in the street. Come out. Leave me alone, I'm sick. I don't care if you're dead. Jesus is here and he wants to resurrect somebody.
Silly kid version of myself is a magician. He's a magician. He pulls burning rabbits out of cardboard boxes in churches. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even exaggerating. That's real life. But not on purpose. It wasn't like evil intentions. But yeah, one time I did a magic show at a church and I went to like do this trick where you pull a flame out of a box that you folded up and a rabbit comes out and the poor rabbit caught on fire and I felt horrible. But yeah, it was kind of a funny story in the end. And I borrowed the rabbit, so I gave him back a little singe. He was okay. But now the child version of me, man, is a magician, is curious, is, you know, excited and thankful, you know what I mean, and playful and sees things that people say aren't there, you know what I mean? And as I get older, there was a gap where I was more concerned with, just to deviate from the question, but there was a period of where, you know, I'm concerned with things in the world. And now I've gotten back to where I just want to be like that kid again. That kid was close to that void. And I have this weird theory about, it's not even a theory, I mean, it's for sure what happens, but we don't know what's on either side. You know, there was a time when, you know, you and I didn't exist, but our parents did, you know what I mean? At that time, where were we? We were in this void. Did we not exist? Were we not a soul? Were we somewhere else in another life? Who knows? I think that's the beauty and the mystery is not knowing, right? But at the same time, we came from that. So to fear that, you know, it's natural because it's unknown. But at the same time, there's something comforting in that for me. You know what I mean? This is more temporary than what death or before birth is, you know?
I never fit the box, but now I swallowed the key. I said I'd look for it, but now it's looking for me. My halo's on my ankle now. voices are all so loud. My halo's on my ankle now. Sitting at home, smoking a bone. No one's here but not alone. Dream river stole my face and I can't get it back again. Testing the water, will the sinner's daughter sink or swim? Dream river stole my face and I can't get it back again. Testing the water, will the sinner's daughter sink or swim? Sink or swim, look into dreaming. Sink or swim, look into dreaming. Never thought the devil be the one to set me free. Sat me down so I could finally see. My halo's on my ankle now. My shame is smiling, oh so proud. My halo's on my ankle now. Sitting at home, smoking a bone. No one's here but not alone.
Yeah, trippy shit, I always say it, but I feel it though.
I've been running with the ghoul, said I'm Holy Ghost.
American spirit still close to the overdose.
Just wake us up when the mundane is out of comatose.
Blah blah, lighten up, Alabar, haha. Inside joke between me and mama.
Tata, I'll see you later, young papa. You've been heavy lifting in the Tetris kamikaze.
Yo, stop comparing yourself. Jitterbug on the shelf till I'm wearing the velvet.
Hell's quick, grab a helmet.
Melt this down to the cellularly selfish. Cell phone welded to my wrist, trying to tell you this. Fell and tripped, trying to sell a shtick. Fuck the script. Ah!